Yeah. Do you need me to move this, or this is alright right here?
That's fine.
That's good?
I'll be able to hear you.
Cool.
Man, welcome to Clueless, Vino, man. Show where we use wine as a vehicle to conversation, and it's the only place you can drink and drive. Sick Braxton, man. Clueless Vino. I'm here with living legend, man. Living legend. Buzz Anthony, what's up, bro?
Shit, man. Good to be here. I'm excited to, connect Jacket's family in a lot of ways. So this is a cool little chance to do that.
Yeah, man. Yeah. This is. I was probably always gonna do like an episode with you. Obviously, once you wrapped up because of just all the accolades and stuff, man. But when it added the cherry on top.
Yeah.
It was kind of an inevitable thing to do. The national championship, obviously. I usually give the guests a chance, just tell people who you are and what you do. And yeah, floor is yours, man.
Okay. All right. So I guess I'll start from Annapolis, Maryland. So grew up, I have a half sister who's like 15 years older. So kind of was like grew up an only child. So I'm doing that. My mom played volleyball at Maryland. My dad played basketball and tennis at St. Mary's College, D3 in Maryland.
I'm very well aware.
Yeah. Okay. So, super athletic family. Then my mom coached JUCO volleyball. My dad was a high school coach for a bunch of years. And then they get into and they start a refereeing business. Yeah. So basically the way I tell my upbringing is, every angle you could attack sports, playing, coaching, refereeing. My parents did it all, and that's kind of what I grew up on. And so I loved it. Our dinner tables were much different than probably a lot of others because we're just talking sports. And then my sister and I have a nephew who's 7 years younger, so kind of like he's almost like a brother. And, so they moved back in high school. So that was an interesting dynamic.
Yeah.
But so they moved back in, and then I was basketball and soccer growing up. I love both. My dad was coaching soccer at the time, and I feel like my body's a little more built for soccer.
Yeah.
But I just love hoops so much. I love that I felt like you could determine your kind of your destiny a little bit more. Mm-hmm. Now, we know that you can't really control your destiny, but at the time, the 15-year-old Buzz thought I could do more.
You feel like
working out wise.
You feel like you have more control of the things that you want, like playing time, and maybe like how you can impact the game. I feel like with soccer, like you're like assigned like a certain spot, and that kind of makes it a little bit more difficult to impact the game.
Right.
More.
Like if you're on defense and your team's not scoring, you can't really help that out. Yeah. So with that, after my freshman year, I played both sports. I made the decision, so I stuck with basketball and just kind of went all in, and then came to Macon, and everything was great. Met my wife there, and so now I'm married 8 months in, August 23rd, 2021, we got married, and so did this last year of like a COVID extra year being married. So I guess that's my quick 23 years in a nutshell.
Yeah.
I guess looking what I want to do, I want to coach. I'm a lifer, so I want to coach college, maybe plan B of high school coaching and teaching. But right now, my wife and I are looking, we signed an agent a couple weeks ago. So these kind of accolades and stuff, I'm not, that's not why I did it, but they're kind of coming in handy now, helping with some opportunities. So we should hear in June or July about some opportunities, and probably leave in late August or so. That's kind of what the vision's looking like. So get to go travel and play around.
Yeah. So here's how my first impressions, right? And it's like, oh, okay, you see the draft class come in, or the class come in, and going through them and reading, and then you get down to one name, it's like Buzz Anthony, and I was like, well, I mean, he has to be good now, right? Because like you can't be a Yellow Jacket. The mascot's name is Buzz. Like you kind of have to like ball out. Like there's no, you know what I'm saying? There's no in between for you. Yeah, like you got a hoop or whatever. Yeah. And just watching you from like freshman year all the way till like wrapping up this year, it's crazy to think that you're the same kid. You know what I'm saying? Just because the maturity and like the way that things have gone over the years, especially with the path that you had to go through with COVID and deciding to go through the extra year, like seasons getting canceled when you could have won another champion. You know what I'm saying? So it's a lot of different things that like not a lot of players have had to go through.
I even got the baby face out a little bit.
You know what I'm saying?
Back to the freshman year, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Just a little throwback. You know what I mean? I'm not mad at that. Before we continue, man, Clueless, we got to get some wine in. So
Let's do it.
we got Carnivore Cabernet Sauvignon.
Love it.
I'll be honest, bro. I'm not usually a red wine drinker, but kind of the show, so I kind of gotta keep doing it.
Okay. That thing looks cool.
It's nifty.
Yeah, I'm still young in this. I'm not a big wine drinker either, so I'm learning. I'm learning as we go. I like it.
It's nifty. Because using a manual one, like, why would I do that? You know what I'm saying? Why would I do that? So now you recently. In fact, let's start at the beginning, because one of the things that I like about you is that, and I didn't know about it until I think this year, because you said it in your Friends of Basketball dinner speech, is that you weren't used to like winning in high school.
Yeah.
And like just knowing that how much you've won over the last 5 years, that's weird. Like so was it that the team was good, or was the competition like around you really good?
Good question. So I played in like private Baltimore kind of conference. So thank you.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, I was like my senior year. I guess this would help paint a picture. My senior year, they do like first team, second team, kind of all conference awards.
Yeah, sure.
So they did first, second, third, 5 on each, and then honorable mention. And I got honorable mention. And we didn't win as much, so that was part of it. But I averaged like 19 and 6.
Okay.
And all the dudes, first, second, and third team, all were going Division I. Like mid, I like all that stuff. Like Emmanuel Quickly, I played against him every year. Noah Locke was just at Louisville. So like really good players. Jalen Smith, who also goes by Sticks.
Yeah.
So he went to Maryland, now on the Sun. So it was definitely the part of really good competition. And then I had like coaching change after my sophomore year. So it was a lot of tears. Like losing was not my DNA. Obviously, athletic family. So like I'm calling old coaches. I'm crying. I'm like, what do I do? And people, we were good my freshman year. I got moved up to varsity halfway. We lost in the semifinals. Then good senior class graduates. We had like 2 good juniors, and they transferred. So the private school world, they transferred, and then we had an old school coach, Derek Lewis, who played at Maryland, and he was like, F him. Like, okay, leave, I don't need you, whatever. So then that was the vibe, and then more people left, more people left, and then we didn't have nobody left. So my sophomore year, we went 4-26.
Oh my God.
4-26. So I had to live through that, and that was like my number one thing going to college. Because my senior year, we got up to, I think we went 4 wins sophomore year, 6 wins or 8 wins my junior, and then 14 my senior. So I was like, I need to go somewhere that wins. So that was like almost number one in picking a college.
Now, what were some of the other schools that were?
So early on, like everyone, you think you're a scholarship player. That's your dream. That's your goal.
Right.
So I was talking to Lafayette in the Patriot League, and then Stonehill, which was a really good D2 up in Boston. They had just come off an Elite 8 run, and so I visited both of those. Was like, man, I could see myself here. Like the coaches, and they ended up not offering. They went with someone else. So I'm like, okay. So then I was visiting St. Mary's where my dad went. He was giving all the nostalgia, like, oh, we went to this bar, like, oh, here's where we did this, and so he was into that. Then I did Macon, and then Catawba. It was a D2 in North Carolina. So they kind of came late in the game. Coach was an assistant at Lycoming, recruited me there. D3 in Pennsylvania. He gets the job, assistant at Catawba, keeps recruiting me, kind of thing. So had a full offer to go to Catawba, and then kind of got it down between them and Macon, and then just relationship with Coach Merkel, winning
Yeah.
tradition, all that stuff kind of is where I went. So.
And so, first off, let's cheers.
Yeah, love it.
Ooh, that just dropped. So you get to Macon, and that's one of the things that I want to talk about is just you like that?
I like the personalized. I
like
see it at first. Yeah.
Your connection with Merkel, because it's like it's very. You see, like some of the best coaches have like really good relationship, with, like one of their like main go-to guys.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was important that he did it with you because you were the point guard. You had this very coach on the floor type of vibe.
Yeah.
So just tell me more about like y'all's relationship and how that developed over the years. Because I feel like you dressed today, you look like him. Like you got out of the car, I was like, what? Did I call
I will
Merkel?
say this is an old Merkel polo that he passed along. So I'll start with recruiting. He's like texting me, and he's like, I'd love to come up and visit you at school. Like, let's just hang out. And he's like, what does your day look like? And I don't know at the time, maybe high school buzz was trying to flex or something. But I'm like, I get to school at 6 a.m. and work out before school. I kind of gave him a list, and he's like, what days are you going 6 a.m. this week? And I'm like, these days, whatever. He's like, all right, Tuesday, 6 a.m. I'll be there.
Yeah.
I'm like, what?
You don't understand. You hit the buzzword.
And
6 a.m. As soon as you say 6 a.m. before school, that was it for him.
Yeah.
That was a wrap.
So he tells the story. He got up at like 3:30 in the morning and drove up there. It was like 2.5 hour drive. And so sure enough, he's there. He watches us work out. This was my senior year, so I started doing that the end of my sophomore year.
Mm.
And by my senior year, I had about 4 or 5 teammates in there with me in the mornings.
Nice.
So that was kind of the start of the leadership point guard journey. And
Yeah.
so he always talks about like how that was really cool seeing other guys in there. And so that was like kind of start of like, okay, I think we might be built similar, that this dude's gonna be up here. And then freshman year, we just kind of hit it off, and guys would joke and guys would call me like Baby Merc and stuff my freshman year. And then going into sophomore year was, I think, when it really took off, because freshman year we kind of underachieved. We lost in the quarterfinal, didn't make the tournament.
Yeah.
And so I had all this like self-doubt. Like, I've never won anything. Like, you're telling me like you're doing the right stuff. You're going to be our leader, all this stuff. And I'm like, you sure? Like, I didn't have that championship kind of confidence. And he just kind of kept speaking belief. And we had a bunch of seniors that year with Grayson, John, Daryl, Teese was there, Luke. And he's kind of like, this is going to be your team. Yeah. And I'm like, whoa, and he related it to a story of like Bobby Hurley and Leitner. Like, Leitner was a year or two older, but when Hurley came in, Coach K was like, this is your team. Yeah. And so like Leitner, the competitor he is, and Hurley, and they would go at it, but it ended up, winning and creating the success.
It breeds that competitive edge that you need on the team.
And so I think that was like that really critical, like tension filled. Yeah. And then we won a lot, and then it got rolling. And then it was like, okay, we know what we're doing. And then it was just popping in the office every day, talking about more than basketball, and then all this other stuff kind of, worked its way out. So it's been awesome. And he's a great dude, as you know. So like me wanting to get into coaching, I'm kind of going to be, his right-hand dude, and hopefully him helping me out. Shout out Chris Hamilton. Mm-hmm. Just got that head coaching job in Indiana.
Job, man. Shout out to him, man.
So that's awesome.
Yeah, I think just watching, the one thing I liked about you, and I compare you as far as your work ethic goes to one of my teammates, Calvin Cross. Calvin used to work out like all the time. 4 practices, after practices, you catch him in like the gym every now and then, like working on hand and stuff. And that's what the vibe I got from you. Always working out, always trying to work on your game. And I think that makes it easier for people to follow you. Like if they see you doing the hard work or whatever, and they're going the extra mile or whatever. I feel like that's what helped breed like everybody else. Like, oh, let's just follow suit. Let's all follow behind this guy. You know what I mean? So, the playing in a pandemic, like what? How? I don't. It's something I can't understand.
Yeah.
So, just walk me through. Walk me through March. Was it March 2020? Is when
March
they cut it.
2019.
2019. Sorry.
Yep, because we played that 2019-2020 season was the shortened year.
Yeah.
Or maybe not.
No, because 2020 was.
Okay, so it was 1920 was when they cut it.
The season they cut it. 2021 was the short one. 21-22.
Okay. Yep. So you're right, March 2020.
Yeah. So and I remember it because I was like, we were on this roll. I think I went to the game the previous weekend, and oh man, when I tell you, dog, I was on Twitter wilding. All this Yeshiva stuff, man. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Shout to them. Shout to them, the streak and bringing awareness to to that what's called that cause. The Jewish people playing basketball. That's dope. That was great. They were talking a lot of cash money. So I was on Twitter like going ham on there.
They do have a crazy fan
I was
base.
like, word? It's like, I mean, come down to Virginia with that. Yeah. But when it got canceled, man, I was like, yo, I felt devastated for y'all. Because even then, it was like, this team could win it all. So just walk me through that moment. Like, that's got to be suck.
Yeah, it did. Alright, so if I go back, they had done something interesting that year where the Division II and Division III national championship game were going to be in Atlanta with the Division I.
That's right.
And so what they did was, we were going into the second weekend. We were only going to play one game. It was just going to be Yeshiva.
Okay.
Then the next weekend would have gone to Fort Wayne, and it would have been Elite Eight, Final Four.
And then the championship.
And then the championship would have been like 2 weeks later to wait for
everybody
to catch up.
Yeah.
And then Atlanta. So we had and I mean, this is Coach Merkel, our staff. Like, we had a week of all we got to worry about is this one team.
Yeah.
So I'm talking film before practice.
Yeah.
Practice, film after practice. Like, we were fully prepped.
Yeah.
And we were ready to go. Obviously, we had heard the hype, heard this stuff, and so yeah, we go to a Thursday practice. Tuesday, Thursdays we have a lunch block from 11 to 12:30 when we've been doing a lot of our practices. So it was Thursday, 11 to 12:30, and we're finishing up practice. And I remember Bays had went in to the locker room early. Some guys are still shooting and talking. And he comes out and he's like, hey, the Big Ten just canceled their conference tournament. And they were maybe a game in or something. So it wasn't, and so we're like, oh no.
Yeah.
If that dude, the high Division I does it and they got all this money involved, then, we're definitely, so it was about, I think that happened at 12 and it was about 4 o'clock when we got the alert that our stuff was canceled. And yeah, I mean, I just kind of was sitting at home and got that, and just texting the group chat, was like, did y'all see this? And we ended up getting together at about 5:30, kind of just rallied the troops and all met. We actually met. It was a really nice day out by the beach volleyball, in the middle of campus. So we all just kind of hung out there and talked and tried to think of what do we do? How do we handle this? How do we respond? And we were supposed to have a pregame meal the next day because the game was supposed to be Friday night. And so Coach was like, hey, we're still going to go do the meal.
Yeah.
So we went to Cracker Barrel the next morning and kind of just tried to figure out, kumbaya, kind of, some tears, just how do you try to find peace, I guess.
Yeah.
So.
Because it's one thing to play and lose, and that's how my career ends. That's fine. I can.
Yeah.
It sucks, but I can. You know what I'm saying? I can come to terms with that. It's another to just have it snatched away without me giving me the opportunity to fight for it. So I felt bad for the seniors during that time. And then just the following season, you're thinking because at that point, say, oh well, COVID's getting a little bit better, yada yada yada. And then Megatron popped up. whatever you want to call it, that popped up, and then that shortened that season.
Yeah.
And it was getting to the point where I was like, all right, I was like, I hope that they're giving them another year, like some type of eligibility thing. And unfortunately, that is what happened. Was there any doubt in your mind that you would come back? Like, what was your? Were you like, I can graduate this year? I kind of want to do that, or were you like, nah, I'm definitely 100% coming back?
Yeah. No. So, I think this was a pretty good. Like, I'll give myself a pat on the back here. We were pretty proactive of like, all right, they canceled in the spring. Like, there's no way they would not give an extra year.
Right.
Like, there's no way this season is gonna be normal in any way, shape,
Right.
or form. So we get to like July, August, it's still like this. So I'm calling Fundy, and I'm calling Woods, and I'm like, what are we doing? Da da da. And Fundy was like, I'm all for it. Let me know what we need to do. We'll figure it out. And Woods, I was like pestering him, but he ended up, he was applying because that application process for the GA stuff, or not GA, graduate school for William and Mary starts so early, and he's like, got a really good chance. And I think something he'd either been accepted or he kind of knew already.
I think he knew that he was going. He'd already got.
Yeah, he like knew already. He's like,
yeah.
So, so I was like, all right, as long as I'm not doing this by myself.
Yeah.
So what we did was we took off that fall 2020 semester. So we didn't take any classes, didn't pay anything.
Yeah.
And we worked for Rhinestein, the elementary school, so just kind of we're figuring it out. And then games got pushed back anyways, which was nice. We didn't have to miss anything. So then we were able to come back in the spring semester and enroll and then play for the 12 games that we did. Then we go to this year. They gave the extra year. So then we do a full semester this fall. And now we're just taking one class that let us stay eligible for the spring semester with the playoffs and all that.
Really?
So we were able to D3 that thing and find a way where some other programs maybe they were like, all right, we'll keep you on scholarship for another year, get your master's or whatever.
Yeah.
But we kind of had to be a little more creative, and we're back working with Stein now. So he's been awesome helping us out too.
That's dope, man.
Yeah, but practices with masks, we were doing the whole thing.
Dog. Oh man.
Yeah.
There's just so much that you take for granted, right? As far as being able to just freely, we're hanging out, man.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And playing in front of crowds. You know what I'm saying? Those things. Cause that's got to be the crazy thing. Cause I always tell people during the pandemic when you had to play against nobody in stands, it becomes a glorified scrimmage game. And the thing about that is, and you know it, some dudes are way better in practice or scrimmages, and you're like, yo, dog, he is hitting everything today. He never does this. You know what I'm saying? So that's all those games became that. So that's so that would be weird to me.
The weirdest part for me was you're going from warm-ups and you're we're hitting layup lines, T-minus 5 minutes till tip. And then it's all right, we got in our little huddle, 1 minute till tip. And then we come to the bench and there was no starters, there's no anthem, because there ain't nobody there.
Yeah.
So we're finishing our layup lines with 1 minute left, we come over, quick huddle, first play, key pointers, break it down, and then I'm like, I'm about to. And then the game started. It was for me, I'm very mellow in the warm-ups, and then when the anthem hits, that's when I tune in. That's when I'm like, all right, let's get it. And so it was kind of took some adjusting of okay, I gotta build into this a little earlier.
Yeah. So we come into this season. I think everybody's pretty much saying we have a shot this year, unless you're Burns. Unless you're Burns. So what was the mentality coming into the season? Because I know again last 2 years we could easily say we could easily have won it.
Yeah.
We beat that. Who was the number 2 team? Was it Trine? Yeah, they tried. It didn't well for them. So what was the mentality coming in? Was it just hey, we're doing this for the guys that couldn't be here. We're doing it for I feel that was the thing for every level of divisions. Kansas, we could have won 2020. We're coming for it here. I feel like it was the same for us.
Yeah.
What was the mentality?
I mean, there was definitely a lot of that. But like, I think Coach would be the first to say like that shortened season. We were a different team without Woods, who was such a been starting for 2.5 years. Like, was such a big piece, and we had that like class of I think 7 or 8 freshmen. So it was like we were not at the standard of the #1 team in the nation during that shortened year.
Yeah.
Then you have COVID stuff where you're not able to get in the rhythm and the practices and all that. So really coming into this year, we were like, all this ranking stuff is based on past successes and like potential of talent.
Yeah.
But there's a huge gap of how you bring those together.
Yeah.
And so I think like early on, we were big on like, all right, Buzz, like I've been established. He's a good player, but we're not going to win a national championship, just through how I play. Miles is becoming better and better every year. Like he's great, but we're not going to win a national championship based on just how he is. And it was so like we had to develop an identity. Like past teams, we were like the #1 scoring defense in the year. And if you look at like, I don't know, 6-8 games into this year, like we weren't that, like we were good, but we weren't at like the Macon standard of like where we were defensively. So those first 10 games or so, we were still figuring stuff out, which is funny because like freshman to sophomore year, we came back, returned almost everyone except for Dan, and we were like good from the jump.
Yeah.
We were good from the jump, and so I was like, okay, this is what it means to be a good team.
Yeah.
Then you go to that junior year, and like Miles and Josh come in as freshmen, and they're playing a role. I was like, okay, let's be good in February.
Yeah.
Kind of like, how do we get better?
Yeah.
And so, kind of with all that experience, it was like, okay, we're doing some things well, but like we can just keep getting better, keep taking steps. And that was kind of like, I think guys who followed our team, you saw it with guys like Will Coble, Q, and countless dudes. Like Lance had some good moments, and so like it just kind of kept rolling and rolling, and so I think that's what we were preaching more than anything. Is like, we're whatever this ranking, but like we're not to the standard that we want to be, the standard that we think is worthy of it. And then as it got to like the NCAA tournament, the Final Four, then it was like, okay, this is a moment that these dudes didn't have. Then it got more to that, like, do it for those guys. Like, they didn't get to have this moment. It's bigger than you. All that stuff. So.
And you made a good point, too. It's just watching people, like, watching different players, like, had moments during the season. Like, Will came out of nowhere, I feel like. And I was like, oh, who is this? And he just started sniping from everywhere.
Yeah.
And then, you got people like Q, who, may not have had the early success in this season, but man, did he turn around like second half of the season. It was like really important.
Yep, that Sydney game.
You know what I'm saying?
And
you got guys like Ian, you know what I'm saying, who was all conference a couple years ago. You know what I'm saying? Maybe not getting the same minutes, maybe not getting the same but then he comes in Final Four game and cash out. You know what I'm saying? So it's just fun. It's just fun watching everybody like have different moments. Or whatever throughout the season. And I think you're right. I think I would say those first like 8 to 10 games, you can tell like you're still working on stuff. Rotations, different, where to play people here, where to, what are we looking for to do. And I think this is how I described this team the entire season. I was like, listen, if you can't hit threes, then you're going to have a long day against us because we're going to hit open shots. We might miss them, but we're going to get them, and we're going to make them more often than not. And then you have to score at over 70. If you're not scoring over 70, you're also not winning. You have no chance.
You have no chance,
You know what I'm saying? So, and defensively, it was just lockdown city. Like, Miles is the magic eraser. You know what I'm saying? Dan, Bungie, you know what I'm saying? Just, like, clamps.
I mean, that was like, that was the thing. Sophomore year, our team was really good. And, like, John, really, like, started to have that role, and we kind of empowered him, like, go after it. But then Miles comes in, and it was like, that's when I knew, like, this dude is special.
Yeah.
Like, we have a chance between the way our coaching staff coaches defense, then you get a guy who's just gifted like that. It's like, okay, we're going to be so disciplined, we might only make 5 to 10 mistakes where you could get an open layup or something a game. But then you get a guy like Miles where he's going to erase those 5 to 10. Yeah. So you're not even going to get an open layup. You're going to have to earn everything, and that's our message. And obviously every team's like, earn everything. But when you get a guy like that, then Bonge comes in, you get a versatile wing defender. Like,
bro,
we could do some things. Yeah, we could do some things defensively to just disrupt and give headaches. So.
And then, so going into, I'm wearing the shirt, and I looked at the run. I'm like, y'all were beating teams by like 20, 25 plus, like consistent. Like, be honest, is it? And from a winning perspective, it's amazing, right? From a competitive statement, is it kind of annoying though? At some point, because I know some games they were close at halftime. I was like, dog, we played better in the second half. Yeah. So it's gonna get ugly when we get back out here. So it was just like kind of like, dang, this is kind of boring. Just a little bit.
I mean, yeah,
it
was like I tell people, you grow up watching March Madness, like the stuff you like about it is buzzer beaters, a guy having 30, some dude from a small school going crazy, like all these things are what you look forward to, what you dream about. And so here we are, like, I'm looking at the clock, 5 minutes to go, I look at the score, we're up 20. I'm like, well, this competitive greatness, is maybe not called out of me in these next 5 minutes. So as a competitor, of course, I would have loved those closer games.
Yeah.
But I think that was the trick, was like that switch that people talk about, or that like competitive greatness. We were able to, like, as a team, buy into it every possession.
Yeah.
And like other teams were just, they didn't have the training, the habits, they didn't have that like every possession fire that a lot of people would say. All of a sudden you look at the scoreboard and it's a 15, 20 point game.
Yeah.
And I think that was the feeling even for us. We were so locked into each possession. Like at Fort Wayne, it's kind of different where the score and stuff was. It was kind of, sometimes it was hard to find it.
Yeah.
So it would go a couple minutes, and me as a point guard, I probably look at it more than other people, like time and score management. So it'd be like a couple minutes between when I could just get a glance, and I'd be like, damn, like we're up, like we're up 15. Like I thought it was, and so
like the way it seems, it feels like we only up like 6 or something. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And Merkel keeps that, vibe as well. Like even if we're going up, like he's, staying on guys and staying tight. So yes, I would say part of me is like, I wish that competitive greatness was called out a little bit more. Like you talk about before Yeshiva, like TCNJ, like that's probably one of my favorite games. If not my favorite game in a Macon uniform. And they had a dude and they were making shots and like they were getting tough buckets, and it was like, okay, like I could, the call has to be answered. Yeah. And so
I remember that game too. I think they were trying to attack you on defense, like a lot. They were trying to get switches and posting, bro.
Yeah, they had an interesting team, but they had like a 6'5" wing. It was like an All-American. He could make shots. He could do it all. And so he was killing us in the first half, and then I went and I guarded him in the second half, and they thought that was, to their benefit. Yeah. And I was just eating it up. Like he's driving, I'm getting my hands on it, like he's just, and so it kind of became like not me against him, but it was like,
it's a game.
It's
a game within the game.
Yeah.
Exactly. For sure. Yeah. For sure. I know about those days, man. Just because could you depending on how you coming into the game, like sometimes I know when I was playing, like some of the coaches would be like, All American coming in here, say he's gonna give you 20. I'm like, word? That's what's up. That's crazy. So now I'm like in my mind, like, yo, we gonna win the game, but I got something to prove real quick. Just let me rock out. There's gonna be a 3-minute stretch here where I'm trying to spaz out. So just let me get that 3 minutes,
and that's what's so cool about basketball. It's the most intimate, competitive sport, I think.
Both sides of the ball, man. Yep. That's what I like. Yep. Like, I can impact it. If I'm not scoring, I can play defense and go crazy. Yep. Vice versa. You know what I'm saying? So that's dope, man. So, I mean, you've had, a great year. championship, All-American, Player of the Year, all these different things. You know, you'll be getting your championship ring, but obviously you got a more important ring. Recently. Yeah.
Well said.
You like that?
I like that. I'm gonna have to steal that too. When we get those rings, I have to earn some brownie points.
There you go. Tell me about getting married in college, man. Because I'm gonna be honest, man. It's not normal. It's not a common thing that you see.
Yeah.
But just tell me how that the relationship blossomed and how you ended up getting married, man.
Man, I love telling the story. So we meet freshman year, near her birthday, January area, so like midway through. And I was coming off, like, had a relationship in high school, stupid high school love, like, man, just
we all gotta figure it out, bro.
So,
we all gotta figure it out, bro.
Broken, so I'm like, alright, never dating again mindset. I'm going the polar opposite.
Yeah.
And so we were like 3 or 4 years in high school, so a long time. And so I meet Becca, and we're like, she's athletic, we're playing intramural, spike ball, like we're just doing all the fun stuff.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, this girl's like, she's keeping up, she's awesome, we're just having fun. And then it gets to the summer, and it's like, I'm still, you're still young, a freshman. It's like, how do I just kind of, because we live like 4 hours away, so how do I just be like, hey, I'm going to go see a friend, stay the night, stay weekend. So we're like, all right, let's date. And it kind of just grew. I didn't know how lucky I was getting it. I thought it was just a fun person, but there was just every year, every month, there was this depth and the kindness, and got to know her heart and her soul. And really, it was a lot of my knuckleheadedness getting into junior year. So we've been dating for about 2 years. It'd been great, but like that was when we were really peaking, and I was getting more and more news and stuff, and my head was as big as can be.
Sure.
And so I'm down over like a Christmas break, and end up just being an idiot, making a bad decision, and being unfaithful in our relationship. But I'm like, all right, I know what's best. I know it didn't mean anything. I just won't tell her. We'll keep going. So then COVID hits that spring. So fast forward like 5 months to that spring. And, we've been dating for like 2.5 years. So she's like, hey, like, what are we doing? Kind of thing with this COVID. And I'm like, she's talking about making decisions about her life long term, and I haven't even been honest. Like, what a dick. Like,
sure, yeah.
And so, again, I'm like, all right, I'll play I know what's right. I'll break up with her. She deserves better. Like the self-pity card. And I wasn't like a believer, like a man of faith at the time, but if you try to break up with someone that the Lord wants you to be with, it don't work. So I tried to, and we just had this rush of emotion. We're like, all right, we need to take some days. Like, this doesn't feel right. And all that night, I'm just up, like, crying, man. I'm like, I gotta tell her. And so the next day I tell her, and obviously she's hurt. And I'm like, all right, well, anything that I can do, like, And so we go 3 days without talking. And then she texts me, I'm like, pick up my phone. I'm like, oh, it's Becca, and I open it, and all it says is, hey, can my dad talk to you? And I'm like,
yo, dog.
Oh.
I think that has to be like number 1 or number 2 of the worst things that your girlfriend or ex-girlfriend at the time could text you.
Oh, man. And I'm like, and I know, like, they're really close. I know she's been, with them. Like,
sure.
So I'm like, all right, yeah, like, anything, like, sure. And I can remember like it was yesterday. I was coaching an AU team during COVID at the time. So I'm getting out of practice, I hop in the car. We had scheduled a time to call, and I call him. And he's like, hey, Buzz, like, I just want to call and tell you that I love you and that I forgive you. And that I think, like, you have some special gifts. And there's this guy, Jesus, and, like, the Lord wants to do some things in your life, and like threw some scripture at me, had some books, like all this stuff. And I just remember hanging up the phone and being like, what? Like, there's no man, no conception of this man that I've ever known or seen that would answer like that. And it was like he has a piece or something about him that I, like, selfishly, I was like, I want that in my life.
Right.
And I kind of look at my life, and my best friend from home, was a believer, and then Fundy, who was my roommate for 4 years, was a strong believer, and so I just started calling them and like learning with them for the next couple weeks, and then I saw Becca. It was about 3 weeks from when I told her to when I saw her in person again, and we were like, what do we do now? Like, I'm changed. Like, I'm pursuing a new, mission in my life. And obviously she's like, I want to believe that, but this,
Sure.
And so we just, like, sat there and we prayed. And we were like, all right, we feel like, let's do it. And then we were like, all the pain that's going to come from trying to rebuild the trust, rebuild this, like, it's not just going to be for another little relationship.
Yeah.
If we're going to do this, we're going to do it.
Yeah.
And so from that moment, literally like the first time I saw her after telling her, we were like, we're getting married.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's crazy to say, and it's like people ask my story, and it's really like not really my story anymore. Like it's a bigger story than just myself. And, and so we ended up kind of planning a wedding for the next year. We felt like the Lord was telling us, be different, be uncommon, go into a place that's filled with, crazy stuff, and like try to be different and try to, bring people along with you. And so we scheduled the wedding in December 2020, 2020, and then scheduled it for August 2021. And then I proposed, and I was like going to tell her, I was like, I'll wait till after basketball season. I did it like in February in basketball season, and so that was really cool. And I got to have like all my guys, and she plays basketball.
Yep.
So our wedding was like a big basketball party, and super cool.
I'm actually shocked that there was like a tale of like a pickup game just busting out.
No games during the wedding, but we do have the first time, like, we used to work out together, like, on the court.
Yeah.
And one time we were like, let's play one-on-one, let's joke or whatever. And so I give her the ball first, being a gentleman, and we check it up. And she's, like, holding the ball right here. And she's kind of, like, looking at me, like, maybe jabbing or something. I'm like, what are you doing kind of thing? So I'm like, I always swipe up. So I hit the ball, and it goes from here and just drills her in the face. And she just goes, I'm done. We're not playing.
That's the end of this.
So we've never played one-on-one other than 1/2 second of the checkup.
That's funny.
So.
That's dope, man.
Yeah.
I think that's, and it's cool too. I was telling y'all too that our initials didn't have to change at all. They're the exact same as they were before.
Yep, still BA.
So that's dope, man. I think that's cool too. That that as someone who grew up in the church, and I find myself to be spiritual. I don't know where I am currently, like in the realm of stuff. I do believe in a higher power, obviously.
Sure.
But I think it's cool that faith kind of brought y'all back together.
Yeah.
And I feel like that, and just watching you and how after it was interesting how after games y'all would go pray was like, and not just with like your teammates, but some of the other teams too. Mm-hmm. So I think that's cool. That that's such a big part of your life now.
Yeah.
Like that's really dope.
Yeah. No, it's been unreal. The way I've kind of explained it is like they talk about like unlocking freedom or unlocking joy or like glory and things, and it was like basketball had hit a ceiling of like junior year. I was conference player of the year now twice in a row. We were number 1 in the nation. Like we had a chance to win the national championship. Like what else is there to this? Like is this all there is?
Yeah.
Do I peak at 22 years old? Do I peak at 21? Like, what else is there to, And I think that was where this year, especially the things you're talking about, like, there was another layer unlocked.
Yeah.
Like, there's more to this game than There's more to this game than just being number 1 or just being player of the year.
Yeah.
Like, there is this ability to have fellowship and, like, this joy that is spread, basketball joy. And, like, we took the trip to Costa Rica this year before the season started. And, like, being able to just enter a gym with a kid who, you don't know his story, and he's like 12 years old, and you don't even speak the same language.
Yeah.
But I shoot the ball in the basket, I pass to him, he shoots it in the basket, and he's like, exuberant. Like, he's so happy, and we're like boys for the next 2 hours. And it's like, man, like, that is the truest, most pure form of basketball. And so that's really where I'm like excited to go overseas and like meet people and like have my perspectives, shaped and sculpted, and just through basketball, be able to like have these relationships. I mean, even like this, like just
Yeah.
through this game of basketball,
Yeah.
through a college, like we're sitting here drinking wine and just talking about stuff that matters, and not just small talk that you see a stranger down the road.
Basketball brings a lot of people together, but it's the stuff that you learn beyond it is really where like friendships and brotherhood build. And that's why we say that Jack is family thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's like we're all from different spots in the United States or even over the world, honestly.
Yeah, true.
And basketball brings us together, but it's not basketball that keeps us together. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's what Jack is family means to me. It's like it's beyond basketball. You know what I'm saying? So that's dope, man. You get game to 7. You giving Jesus the work.
Jesus, no.
Are you,
no.
What?
There's no shot. But I will say I saw this funny, like, I'm not a big TikTok guy, but people send stuff in our group chat, and there was one, and it was like the Bible starting 5, and it had like, Jesus had like point guard because he's always,
always
self-sacrifice, right?
Yeah.
Assist. It had like, I'm trying to remember all of them, but like Samson was like the big, or like David and Goliath, like Goliath is the 5 and the 4 man, but that was pretty funny.
I think you can give him like a couple bucks.
I can give him one. He probably let me get one just cause like,
Yeah, then he go turn it on. Yeah, I know how he gets. Okay, man. So yeah, you also do like a lot of camps, and you started one this year. You want to talk about that?
Sure. Yeah. So I guess I'll go through camp stuff. I love camps. I'll start when I was younger. My best friend Nate, who was best man at my wedding, his uncle was a college coach, Messiah, up in D3 in Pennsylvania. So it was about like a 2-hour drive from where I grew up in Maryland. So not too bad. So for like 4 summers in a row, we would go up there in the middle school years and just like wreak havoc. Like it was like summer camp, basketball, overnight stuff is the best.
Oh yeah.
So I think that kind of like developed planted a seed of like camps are awesome. And so my senior year of high school, I kind of I do high school camps, whatever. Yeah. But senior year of high school, I was like, I want to do my own camp. So I did my own camp for 1 year, my senior year, had like 10 kids. Monday through Friday, it was probably more like babysitting really, people that wanted them to come, but it was super cool. And then I go to college and talk with coach, and he's like, yeah, like camps is a great way to network, meet people, like the coaching world. And so like I would do 6, 7 camps a summer.
Yeah. Just
bouncing around between Macon. I've done Navy, Maryland, UVA, PGC, hoop group. Like I have a lot of camp experience. Now I've done some like FCA camps. Like now adding that faith piece to my life, and so I was like, okay, I've probably done over like 40, 50 camps in the last 4 or 5 years. Yeah. And I'm like, I have a lot of, I feel like, wealth of knowledge. Like, I could definitely do my own again. Yeah. And so then it was a mixture of like that's going on in 1 year, and then the other year it was Kurt Axe. Yeah. Like who this guy was. His brother came to speak at Friends of Basketball 3 or 4 years back, and I had a lot of people come up to me and be like, hey, you remind me of Kurt Axe, like the way you play, da-da-da. And I just didn't know anything about him. And so I was like, let me start diving in and learning. And I just everyone that spoke of him spoke so highly. Yeah. And I'm like, man, if we could have any kind of basketball clinic or any kind of just randolph-macon thing, like, don't let someone like me, who's a very flawed person, be like the one fronting it. Like, don't let it be that, because I can't resemble all these great things that we want to pass on to these kids. So it's like, man, let this dude's image just fully embody like all the best things about Macon. And that was where the dream came out of. And so I was like, all right, let me take what I have from camps, take the positive and the joy and the image of him, kind of mush it together. Yeah. And so it was awesome. His brother came down, and we had on Saturday high school basketball boys, and our whole team helped out with that. So we had like 15 high schoolers and like almost 15 college dudes. So like we were all in, and we did like 9 to 4, and it was pretty cool. And then the next day, it was like Macon athletes. So we had like some swimmers, soccer players, football, basketball, women's basketball, and that was more like leadership focus.
Yeah.
So kind of had some coaches do some leadership workshops, and yeah. So hopefully this is year one of many to come.
Yeah.
The like 5-year vision is like a cool way for me to stay involved with Macon. Like I love Macon. I met my wife there. Obviously had all the success here. So it's like I'd love to stay involved. How do you stay involved? I feel like a lot of people want to, but it's hard to. You travel. So hopefully this will be a weekend when I can always make it back and be able to stay involved. And, so that's kind of the vision for it, and we'll see where it goes.
Yeah. I think it's gonna take off, man. I think just again using Kurt's name, Kurt Axe, amazing player. You know what I'm saying? Amazing guy as well. And then just knowing that it's you as well, another amazing guy, being able and one of the successful players here. You combine those two things, I feel like it'll be getting more and more traction as we go on.
Yeah.
As the years go on. And you're right, it is a way to stay connected. I think you're right. I think sometimes it's hard. I think it's hard for alum to always find a way to feel like they're still connected or whatever. And as we work on both sides, current staff reaching out and then others coming to games and stuff. So it's a working relationship, but once you find a way to do it, it's rewarding.
Yeah.
So I think that's gonna be good. I think it's gonna be good for not only you but like other ones that want to be involved.
Yeah. No, that would be cool.
Yeah.
That would be cool.
So I gotta ask. I mean, I don't have to ask, but I'm gonna ask.
Okay.
No, I won't ask you a question. What I'll say is that does it ever occur to you that you legitimately could be called the GOAT? Like, legitimately. Like, it's a legitimate, like, it's like a debatable thing. You know how like they're like, LeBron is debatably the best player that ever played a game.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But then there's that Michael Jordan guy over here. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, your name's in the conversation now. Is that like, from where you started, not winning a lot in high school, whatever, to today. Surreal, right? Kinda?
Very surreal.
Yeah.
Very surreal. I mean, even just like, it messes with your mind sometimes. Of like, I've developed this, never-ending chip on my shoulder.
Right.
And it was like going into, I guess after junior year ended, even going into junior year, some of like, wait, like I won everything almost. There was the win here, and our team was like #1 in the nation for part of the year. Like, why isn't this chip as heavy?
Yeah.
And so it was like I had to develop a new. There's a Brian Dawkins, played for the Eagles. He does this like documentary where he had like he would step in the locker room and he had like his locker, and then he had like X-Man or something, player X. I don't know, I forget what he named it, but like an alter ego, where he was like, all right, I'm stepping onto the field, like I'm doing this. And so it was almost a process of developing this like paranoia of like, hey, like I remember in the summer, like going into junior year, I would be working out and then I'd finish my workout and I'd sit down and I'd be like, all right, I'm unlacing my shoes, and I'd hit me and I'd be like, would I have worked out more last summer? Like before I won the award, I'd be like, fuck. And I'd get back up and I'd go like, bang some more shots and it was literally like, I don't know if it was healthy, but like there was a paranoia I had to create of like, okay, it's never, you've never made it, like keep going. And so like to a lot of extent that was tiring. Like that was hard to do. Yeah. It's easier to lose. Put that box score on your door, wake up every morning, see it, go grind. Yeah. Like having your season end without losing, like having all that stuff, like you had to then create your own like motivation. Yeah. Which was so hard. So then we advanced and now like we did it, we made it, we won. A lot of people have come up and said that and made jokes about it, but I don't know. My biggest thing this year was like, I want the team to go back to the Final Four next year.
Mm-hmm.
Like, early on in my career, I was definitely like, all right, when I leave, like, they're probably gonna be trash.
Yeah.
When I got older and having an extra fifth year, I'm older
Yeah.
now. It's like, okay, no, I want my team to be rolling.
Right.
So there was a lot of pieces this year where like I'd be talking with the coach like, hey, this is great right now, but like, how do we grow, this dude for next year? How do we give him an opportunity to step into some leadership right now? And so.
And I think that's the maturation process I was talking about earlier. Like
Yeah.
I think the first two. I think it happens to like some of the best players that come through. The first 2 years, you're like me.
Yeah.
What can I do? Da da da. But as you lead, as you get into junior year, you're like, damn, I got 2 years left. Now I'm starting to think like, what can I do to leave an impact here? Not necessarily me, but as a team thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then senior year, like, how can I leave here? This team being just as good or better before I leave.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that you hit that like right on the head or whatever.
Yeah. I can think of this year, even, Miles and I grew pretty close over when he got here, really.
Mm-hmm.
And so now, like, we have this really good of, like, how do we handle success humbly in the right way? And so we've had a lot of late night, conversations and talking. And so then Bongay kind of steps into the picture.
Yeah.
And now, like, he's hitting this success. And I remember him coming up and being like, man, like, don't compliment me. Like, I don't like this stuff. And so after practice, I like waved Miles over, and it was like me, Miles, and Bongay, and we're like, look, dude, you're a good player. It's gonna come. Like these are like, don't shy away from this. Just there is a way to honor it and to do it right, and like how to go about it. So those are cool conversations that I think I wouldn't have looked for or wouldn't have had earlier on, like you were saying.
And I get where he's coming from because I still don't really take compliments well because I feel like I think when you get compliments and you start to it's either you get like a big head or like you start losing like some type of edge and like well, now I feel like because I need to be getting better. Don't tell me that I'm good. I need to still be getting better. You know what I'm saying? So I get that. And the fact that you said that you and Miles had conversations, I'm like, how? Miles doesn't talk like that. Miles is like the silent assassin. He's a cyborg, man. He's a cyborg, bro.
Like, if you get him talking about 2K, NBA basketball, if you can get him on the right topics.
If we talk anime, it works
anime,
out. It's like
he can get rolling if you get him on the topic, but he won't always jump in if it's not something he knows as well. Like,
I'm not mad at that though. But they're in good hands, man. They're in good hands.
Mm-hmm.
JT came on strong this year.
Yeah.
Miles is still there. Bunny's still there. So they still got a squad. I've seen some of the people that's coming in. Schroeder's coming in again. So I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna be here.
Yeah.
Being my annoying self. My goal is to get kicked out of the game.
Please do. Please do.
My goal is to get kicked out of the game. But while we're winning though, not while we're losing.
Right.
It's like he's getting kicked out while we're winning. This guy's amazing. Yeah, I know. Whenever I have a Macon dude up here, man, I like to ask him a few questions just to, because I'd be remiss if I did. Favorite moment, which is a stupid question. I feel like because like how do you top the national championship? Like it's kind of hard to do that. Would that be the one? It has to be, right?
Yeah. I think the first time we won the ODAC championship with that group of guys was pretty cool. Cause like, not only for myself, but seeing even like the staff, like, it was Merkel's first, and all those guys, and the seniors, like, they had some good years that were let down.
Yeah.
So like that locker room after the ODAC championship in Salem was like raw. Everyone was just like elated, like crazy.
It was like a monkey off the bat.
Oh man, yeah. So that one's probably up there a lot too. But yeah, national championship. I mean, Fort Wayne in itself was just that's a treasured memory.
Yeah.
They did a great job of just making it.
It looked dope. It was very vastly different from when we went to the Final Four. Because we still had ours in Salem. But we still did a lot of the same things y'all did. But yeah, y'all should kind of fly. I got to play on CBS Sports and shit. I was like, oh, this is alright though.
Yeah.
This is kind of dope, bro. Oh man. That was fun to watch. So personal favorite game? You was talking about the what was it, TGA?
TCNJ, the College of New Jersey.
Yeah. So
that was up there. Yeah, I think I ended with like 25 and 13.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like a tale of two halves of like I was, under control, scoring it, feeding, like whatever, and then the second half was like the full culmination of like I'm guarding their best player.
Yeah.
I'm banging shots.
Yeah.
I'm like, dropping dimes. So personally, that was probably, and it's a meaningful game. It's a NCAA tournament game. So either that one or my sophomore year ODAC semifinals. We're playing Washington Lee. And that was when we were all banged up. G was hurt.
Yeah.
But he was he was on the verge of coming back. So he's like, I've never been to an ODAC championship.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's like, little sophomore me, I'm like, I got you.
Yeah.
Like, you're number 30, I'll score 30. And I'm coming off, I just won Player of the Year as a sophomore. And the quarterfinal game we played Randolph.
Yeah.
I had 2 points, and we won by like 40. I mean, we
Right.
destroyed them. But like an alumni came up to me after the game, an older dude, like grabbed me on the shoulder, and I'm like turned around, and he's like, "Is it getting to your head? Like, are you okay? Do you need to like?" And I'm like, whoa, like,
let me tell
we
you,
won by 40.
Bro, let me tell you, alumni will call you out on stuff. Like, your family, we just won the game by 40.
I had like 9 assists.
This
like,
isn't the time for this, I promise
but I go to bed, I'm like, okay. So then we go into the next game, and it was like back and forth the whole game. I ended with like 31, and so those are 2 probably top games personally.
That's dope. I like that. It's like a dog.
I'm like,
we won.
It's a good problem to have. People
like,
care.
Yeah, like, bro, that's
a good
cool.
problem to have, but
tomorrow I got you.
Yeah.
I got you tomorrow.
And that is the cool thing about Salem. I mean, you get, if you make it the championship, you get 3 games.
You got 3 days to make up for whatever happened.
You get a hoop a lot.
Now, not saying who is your best teammate. Who is your favorite teammate? Could be for on-court reasons, off-court reasons, anything.
Man, my favorite teammate. Fundy's up there just because we lived together for 4 years.
Sure.
5-man, sets great screens.
Yeah.
Like, doesn't want the glory, would let me shoot it every time. We went through a stretch our freshman year when we were both like figuring stuff out.
Yeah.
We had like 5 or 6 games in a row where like I would find him for a layup and like we would watch it back. So he's up there. Baze is up there just because like having a fire as a competitor, you don't meet a lot of guys that are like you with that fire, and so he was probably the most fiery dude that I've had as a teammate. And so like we fought, but the respect was through the roof. Of like, this dude is, I would die with this dude kind of thing. And then just a really funny guy. And then probably Miles is probably up there. Just by like so much people don't know about him and the way he goes about how he does stuff. Like, he was at my wedding. Like, we've grown so close. I mean, again, 2 of those guys are big men, and then one's a shooter. So like, even how I find it funny, even how like basketball dynamics end up also being like my best friends. Like, my best friends are usually 5 men or catch and shoot guys. Like, it is pretty funny how it works out, but that's just, you kind of just get this connection and
Final one. What would you today? What would you go back if you can go back and talk to freshman Buzz? What would you say?
I think I would say 2 things. One, for the personal journey, would be like I got this tattooed. It says "Faint Hearts Never." That's from my dad. And, I got it my junior year because I was like, I need this reminder like all the time. It's like, be fearless. Like, sometimes I would attack the game from like a coaching lens. I want to coach, and it'd be like, I want to be like a 50, 40, 90 shooter. Like, I want to be so efficient.
Yeah.
But it's like, you know, be fearless. Like, you work on, like, I worked on stuff over and over. And, like, I wouldn't use it or wouldn't shoot that shot until I was making, like, you know, 9 out of 10 in workouts. Like, overdoing, like, over-prepared almost.
Yeah.
So, like, just be fearless. Like, go do that thing. Like, get feedback. Like, fail. Fail more, I guess. Then to, like, I would tell myself about others would be, like, you know, invest more in other people.
Yeah.
Because like, this year was the best year by far of, like, investing in a dude, like a Koval, like a Bongan, like, having lunch with them, like, hanging out with them in the summer, like, all this stuff, and then seeing them just, like, dominate or have their games.
Yeah.
Like, I was probably happier than they were.
Yeah.
Like, when you invest fully in someone and then they succeed, it's, like, it's the coolest thing. So, I mean, I think that's what having a kid is all about. Like, seeing, you know, your kid succeed, you're probably more happy. But just, like, investing and seeing that is something I think I missed out on in those early years. Like you said, early on, you know, me, how can I, you know, control, how can I drive? And then later on, it was more about, you know, the unit. But luckily, like, the way I played, even though, like, I was thinking me, the way I play is, you know, I'm a pass first guy, so it didn't always seem like it.
Yeah.
Because of how I played, but my mentality was definitely very, like, alpha, aggressive.
Yeah.
That stuff. So that's what I would say.
That's dope, man. I like that.
Yeah.
So here at Clueless, you know, Buzz, man, we like to rate our wines.
Okay.
Yeah. So we like to give, you know, a rating of 1 to 5 glasses, man. 1 being maybe we should not drink this again, and 5 being like go buy that right now. So what would you give Carnivore Cabernet Sauvignon, man? 1 out of 5 glasses.
Well, again, I don't think I have a ton of experience. I'm not a big, still stepping into that. But I mean, I thought it was solid.
Yeah.
I'd go 3.5.
Okay.
3.5.
That's nice. That's nice. I was gonna give it a solid 3.
Okay.
You know, I don't drink red wines often, but this isn't bad. The thing about red wines, and I keep saying this, and I'm gonna keep saying it, is it's probably better with food, like nice little steak or something.
Yeah.
Red meat.
Yeah.
It's probably really good with
I've heard that. I don't do it, but
yeah. So that's the thing.
I'll have to try that.
But yeah, man, I want to thank you for coming on. You know, being able to watch you over the last 5 years now. It's been amazing. It's been dope. Can't believe the journey's over.
I know.
But I'm excited to see what you do after this. Like I said, man, you know, hoop a little bit. Go travel the world for a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Come back, coach. You know,
That's the plan.
the basketball world is ahead of you. Like, there's a lot of challenges I feel like that are coming your way soon. So it'll be fun to watch. See how you tackle those. If it's anything like your playing career, I'm sure you'll be fine.
Thank you.
I'm sure you'll be fine.
Yeah, I mean, I probably sit here and, you know, act like I have it somewhat figured out, but I know there's gonna be, like you said, these challenges and all kinds of stuff. So it'll be interesting.
This is the part of the show, man, where I let the guests, you know, if they want to give any closing remarks, anything they want to say to the people before we head out, man.
Closing remarks. I mean, center of the universe, Ashton. Like, you know, the power of basketball we touched on earlier is just it's unbelievable. But also, like, I would just throw in there power of commitment. I think that's been on my heart recently. Of like, commitment unlocks freedom.
Yeah.
Whether it's to a sport, like in my career in basketball, whether it's to a relationship, like getting married at 22 years old, like I'm just a big believer in growing into more and more belief in that there's a power in commitment. So, you know, if that resonates with you, then cool, because that's been on my heart a lot of just like speak it, be uncommon about it, whatever you do, be fully committed, and you'll unlock levels to your life and freedom in your life. So that's what I'll drop the mic with.
I like that, man. Mic drop, man.
Yeah.
Be sure to like and share Vino podcast, man, on your socials. Share it with your friends. Give me a 5-star rating. Helps with the algorithms. Make sure you check us out on YouTube. If you have listened, watch the video on YouTube. Is there anything else I do? Let me see. Nah, that's it, man. But don't
come
forget.
to a making game and watch.
Yeah, come to a making game, bro. Come to the early ones, cause Merc really wants y'all to come to them early ones, dog. Like he's
92B.
You know,
I'm 95.
92B, 95, man.
Yeah.
Look, you know, just keep driving, and you'll start to notice little jackets on the road.
Yeah.
You'll figure it out, man. But
Yeah.
most importantly, man, don't forget to drink up.
I like it.
I got the juice, don't need no proof. 100 like the rum I drink that got me over you. And all your nonsense we all subject to. I find my lane and mind my business like I'm supposed to do. Let's have a toast for all the obstacles that got us here. I put my glass up in the air to stimulate the cheers. Not because we made it, but because we making it. I savor the moment, the bouquet forever, evident. Yeah. In my realm, I watch the times go by. I got the world in my hands, but I can't tame the sky. Dare I try, I might lose my mind. But it'll be all good after I'm done sipping this wine. Gather around, people, it's about that time.